Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second after hours segment following the Sunday Pink Talks. My name is Natalie Benoit, and I am hosting the segment for Find Your ID NYC and Pink NYC. Today is July 5th, and I am joined by the writer, author, poet, and spoken word performer, Nono the Poet. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. How are you?
I am so happy to have this opportunity to be with you. The energy you and Rebel had during the Pink Talks previously was so beautiful and wonderful, and I just want to bring that same energy into this.
Done.
Amazing, great. And I want to get right into it because I have a lot of questions. So
Okay.
my very first one is, when you were growing up, did you
Mhm.
always want to become a writer, or was there something that pushed you towards poetry and writing?
Yeah, the God, the Lord, the universe, this spirit that pushed me. I used to say, oh, why couldn't I just be passionate about like biology or science so I could be a doctor? Because this is
Yeah,
such a difficult industry to be in. You don't come into this if you're, trying
looking
to
for the
make
money.
money. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
not for that.
Definitely.
So it's always been in me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. I also noticed when I was, learning up about you, in
Mhm.
your website bio, it mentions that you're from South Africa, but you moved to New York City, for school. So what was the transition like coming to that city?
I always wanted to come to New York since I was a little girl.
Mhm.
So coming here it was like the beginning of the rest of my life.
Wow. Yeah.
And, I always had this feeling like I want to make an impact on a global scale. And the message that I received from the universe was that, okay, you got to go to New York. And
Yeah.
so I just always had this, need and want to come to New York. It
Wow.
wasn't difficult at all. You would think that leaving behind your entire family, no, it wasn't,
Yeah.
because, when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing,
Mhm.
it makes it easier.
Right. It makes it all the more for to fight for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also want to ask you, do you ever try to incorporate your heritage into the work that you do or into the poetry that you create?
Absolutely. I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's not in my recent book, Soul Vagina, but my
Right.
upcoming projects, actually, you'll see a bit more of that.
Lovely. And
Yeah.
in Pink Books, you did mention the fact that you wanted to work, I believe, in like children's books, that you wanted to
Yeah.
start something there. And that really like piqued my interest because I was wondering, like, why did you decide to pursue a project like that now?
Well, because, George Floyd happened
Hmm.
again,
Hmm.
because, he's not the first one. And it feels like this is a time, it feels like we're in the modern civil rights movement.
Yeah.
And as an artist, my job is to tell stories. As a writer, my job is to tell stories. Um, and the type of writer that I am, the type of artist that I am, I want to move you in some shape or form. I want to leave you elevated a little bit higher than before you picked up my book. So
Yeah.
I couldn't find, and I knew I wanted to do something. I didn't know if it was going to be a song or if it was going to be, I knew I wanted to do something artistic, but
Something, yeah.
I couldn't find it. And then it just came to me, as it always does. It
Yes.
came to me as a children's book. So I wrote it, and yeah, now we're just in the works of making it happen.
That's amazing. And a lot of people are saying, especially with, as you mentioned, everything that's going on right now,
Yeah,
educating our youth is the
yeah,
most important thing because they are our future. Like a children's book,
absolutely.
yes, a children's book that touches, on the very subject that you mentioned previously, Black Lives Matter, the movement, police brutality, all that, something that even touches on it a little bit makes
Mhm.
children more aware because who knows what the life at home is, who knows what they're learning, you know?
Exactly. And it
Mhm.
truly does begin with them, because it doesn't matter, if we have all these systems in place
Yeah.
and, we've had all these reforms, but at home, we're raising racists, you
Mhm.
know? So you want to set it up so that that conversation starts very early on. And if you want to call it indoctrination of not being a racist, then fine, go for it. But
Yeah.
it's got to start early, you know, because their minds are so malleable.
Molding.
Exactly.
They're molding.
Yeah. And so that's my contribution. It's, you know, we're starting with the children. Let's have a conversation there.
Lovely.
Yeah.
You know, I also look back at some of your other poems, and in 2017, you wrote a poem called Because of Michael Ferguson. I believe that was in 2017, and now that we're in 2020, do you think you'll write any more pieces? You know, I think you read one earlier during the Pink Talk session previously. You read a poem about Black men. Do you think you're going to continue writing poetry about that subject because you want to keep impacting people and talking about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Until we stop dying and until we stop getting killed,
Mm-hmm.
until, you know, there's equality, then yes, for as long as I live and breathe, I absolutely will be writing pieces like that.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're working on now or anything that's kind of inspired you?
So besides the children's book,
Mm-hmm.
there's been some, like I said, I don't want to go in too much to it because it's, you know, it's a reveal of
Mm-hmm.
who I am in ways that I've never revealed before. And I know that this is going to impact people in a very dramatic way.
Wow.
This
I'm
is me
excited
finding my
too.
voice in a way I haven't found it before.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And do you think that happened because, you know, with the quarantine, you were able to kind of, I don't know how your schedule may have changed, but being home, did that allow you to kind of feel your emotions more, be more in tune with yourself?
So you know what? No.
Yeah.
Actually, no. You know, and I thought to myself, oh, this is great. We're gonna be in
Mhm.
quarantine. Great, right? I'm a writer. This is great.
Yeah.
I can just get to it. It
Mhm.
was a struggle. I
Wow.
mean, I had the worst writer's block. I
Yeah.
could not access anything. Anything I wrote was just garbage. It was just, yeah, it was terrible. And then, you know, life was happening as it always does.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one thing led to another, and all of a sudden, boom, a book was created. You know,
Right.
you would think I'd be used to it by now, but I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, it's still hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I
And you know
know.
what? I'm thinking,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, continue.
Oh, yeah, I think, you know, as an artist, I didn't realize how much I'm fed by external stimuli, whether it's
Mhm.
stressful or not. Just, you know, the fact that it's just stimuli, it
Yeah.
gives me something. It prompts me to write, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
those human interactions are really important.
you definitely, you know,
Mhm.
because in quarantine, it was just silence, me and silence and food.
Me too. A lot of food over here. Me, my food, and silence.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask you, in your collection of poems, the book Soul Vagina, which you previously talked in Pink Talks as well, you know, you are a woman, you are a Black woman. So, what are your thoughts about the intersectionality of being a woman, but also being Black? Because, you know, the world is really harsh to women and to Black people.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, it's not. I always say the plight of a woman. Dot dot dot. I tell you, and then to also be a Black woman at that.
It's a lot.
There's a certain everything. You have to be stronger. You have to be tougher. You have to be smarter.
Yeah.
There's so much on our plate, and we don't. Nobody's even talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm so glad that you even asked that, and we need to talk about our Black women, which is exact.
Mhm.
And you know, when I write, it's for women from
Yeah.
every creed, color, religion, everywhere,
Yeah.
because these are things that affect us all over the world. Because no matter where you are, we're still living in a man's world. No matter where you are in the world, and being a Black woman, you're living in a man's world, and you are a woman that is Black.
Mhm.
There's something to that. So if I can empower you because of the strength that I've developed, the courage that I've developed, then absolutely, I will continue to write. I will continue to perform. I will continue to put out content that makes you feel good about you as a Black woman.
That's amazing. And like you mentioned, that's very taxing to the mind for, like for someone as yourself, that's a lot to cope with when you feel like the world is up against you constantly. So how do you cope with those difficult feelings that may come every here and then when, you're confronting the fact that, hey, like I am a Black woman, I'm seeing all of this in like violence happening to my people. Like, how do I cope with those deep feelings?
I grew up in the church. I'm very spiritual. I'm not so religious per se, but I'm very spiritual. I'm connected to the universe. I understand that there are powers at work that are beyond me. So when I feel that, I look to them. I pray, I meditate, and also I ask for help because, a lot of the times we don't say, you know what, I'm struggling. You pick up the phone and you call a friend and say, I'm not doing too good.
Yeah.
It was not a good day. So then you pick up that phone and you use the people around you because I am because you are, right?
Yeah. And like you said, asking for help is hard because some people see it as, oh, I don't want to be a burden. Everything's like, oh, I don't want to bother this person. I don't want to be a burden. But sometimes you're not being a burden. Like you said, it's, you have to ask for help when you need it.
Exactly. And you know what? If you are being a burden, you'll find out. And then that will further inform you about the relationship you have with this person. So then you know to just keep it moving.
Exactly. That's a great point. I never thought of it that way.
Right.
And, going back a little bit to the current like racial climate in this country, how do you feel living in the United States right now? Because I know for myself as a woman of color, for me, it's difficult seeing where our future's going to head and seeing like if I decide to have my own family, what's going to happen, to my children. So how does it feel for you?
It's very scary. It's very, very scary. And I've had, my own issue, like my own interactions with the police, white policemen, and it's left me feeling absolutely scared. Just
There may have been a little bit of a technical difficulty there, but hopefully Nono can join us in a minute. Otherwise, just to let you all know that this is the second. Here you go. No worries. I'm glad you made it back so quickly.
Yeah.
But what was it that you were saying?
Yes, I was saying it's left me feeling very afraid, which is why I was so pressed because I said, you know what, I'm afraid, but what am I going to do about it? So, which is why I'm so glad that, this children's book is coming out because that's my contribution. This is how I'm, doing something to change the tide.
Yeah, you're doing your piece.
And as minute as it might seem, like there's something we can all do. As little as it may seem, it counts. It really, really does. Because imagine if like 10 million people are doing this one tiny little thing.
It adds up.
It becomes a big thing.
Yes, it adds up, like you said.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you this because I'm not sure about your experience when you were living in South Africa, but do you have any advice for Black Americans dealing with the same type of racism seen during and post-apartheid?
We're doing it the same way we've always been doing it. We're taking it in strides, and they're still putting us down. They're still shooting us with rubber bullets. They're still, using gases, and they're still doing these things, but we're still standing out there with dignity and respect and asking nicely for equal treatment, because we are a dignified people. We always have been. No matter what they have done to us, still we maintain our dignity. 100%. So I think that we just continue to stand in that, It's how you look at Nelson Mandela, who went to prison for 27 years for his country. That man epitomizes dignity. He came out of there with no malice. And that's the kind of people that we are. in that no matter what you do to us, still, this is who we will be.
Yes, yes. You know, it has been such a pleasure having you to speak with. I enjoyed so much watching you and Rebel talk, listening to your poetry. Like I said earlier, I'm going to have to look into getting your collection of poems with my mom because I know that both of us would benefit a lot from reading it. And I just want to ask you, are there any parting thoughts or last thoughts that you want to share with everybody watching?
I tell you what, you know what? No matter what you may be going through, just know that we're all human beings and we're all trying to figure it out. I guarantee you that no matter how much money you have or how much you don't, where you come from, we are all human beings just trying to figure it out. So let that bring you comfort in whatever you're going through right now, and that we're all trying to figure it out right now.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this talk show-esque segment for FYID NYC. And thank you for everyone that's watching. Tune in every Sunday night at 9 p.m. EST for Pink Talks, as well as the first and last Wednesday of every month for an extra Pink Talks episode. Again, thank you so much, Nono the Poet, for joining me. Check out the website, go to her Instagram, Nono the Poet. It has been such a pleasure, and I'm so excited to see what you will do in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.